Good evening. It is nice to have an opportunity to visit. You are knowing what you are wanting? Somewhat. You are understanding that you are extensions of source energy. The contrast into which you are born here in this physical environment serves you enormously well, and you know that from your broader non-physical perspective, while sometimes you don't know it so much from your physical perspective. Sometimes we think you would like to be rid of the contrast. There is nothing that you need to do, there is nothing that you should be doing that you're not. If you will make peace with where you are, hear us. Your life has caused you to ask. You have done step one. It's in place. Source has answered and is readied for you whatever it is that you are wanting. Your work is only to find a way to somehow allow rather than resist. And it is our promise to you that as soon as today, evidence of your decreased resistance will begin showing in your experience. So, no matter what indications you're getting, if you change the vibration that is the reason you're getting them, you have to get different things. Your vibration is the reason that life is happening the way that it is. But if you will reach for a feeling of relief from where you are, and you want it enough that you find thoughts that give you the relief, and you think those thoughts of relief long enough that they're easy to think rather than hard to think, then what happens is you affect a vibrational difference within you, and then life has to give you different things back. It's law. It has to. You want to talk about some things? So.
Abraham, there are some issues that come up in the 3-step creative process having to do with deservability. Like somewhere in that framework of shifting vibration and still dealing day to day with the status quo of what has been. How does someone get beyond their history, their family expectations, the image of oneself that one has that's accumulated, that seems to argue all the time for keeping things the way they've always been? If you want to make a quantum shift, it's that escrow you're talking, that place.
Quantum shifts aren't good. They're not even possible. Because you can't set your radio dial on one thing and receive what's being transmitted from another tower. In other words, you have to train your vibration into vibrational alignment. Your words were perfect because they are issues, because people keep talking about what is. You have to stop telling the same old story and tell a different story. But you're right. It's not easy to tell a different story when this story is consuming, when it's all around you, because your physical senses observe it so fully.
That's right.
So what you have to do is take an emotional journey. You have to care more about how you feel than what you're saying. You start guiding your sentences by the way they feel when you say them, not by the reality of them or the truth of them. You care so much that you feel good. Your goal, your ultimate goal, is to see this moment in time through the eyes of Source, not through the eyes of pinched off from Source.
Which is everything is possible.
Everything is possible.
So how do you have any processes or any ways of strengthening that new vibration in the face of evidence to the contrary, so that one can move into that space of receiving it, being as though one is already in that place?
Yes, we do.
It manifests.
Yes, we do, because words don't teach. It's only life experience that teaches. And law of attraction is very responsive to your vibration. It will show you what's going on now. We were visiting with a woman on the telephone one day who said, she wasn't having any of us. She wanted a fortune telling. And she didn't want to be the creator of her own reality. She was not having a good conversation with us. And she asked almost the identical question that you just asked. If this and this and this is happening in my experience, how could I possibly find something that is different from that? And so as you realize that it doesn't matter what is, it only matters what vibration you're offering, then you understand that you can get something different than what is as soon as you take your attention from what is. So in that effort, we said to her, let's talk about blue glass. And she said, are you crazy? And we said, we really want to talk about blue glass. And she said, why would I want to talk about blue glass? And we said, because you don't already have a lot of negative issues stored up about blue glass. It's sort of a free-floating thought to you. And then, against her wishes, we continued to speak about blue glass. We described the densities, the colors, the different things that could be made from it. She didn't enjoy the conversation, and so we said, let's talk about butterflies. Again, why would I want to do that? We said, because you don't have anything against butterflies. They come in all colors and all sizes. They live in different places. They are beautiful to see. She still wasn't having any of it, so we said, let's talk about feathers. She felt the same way about feathers that she did the other, but she was not getting our point, but we knew law of attraction would help her to get the point if she would just focus with us long enough. So we held her in conversation about blue glass and about feathers and about butterflies for about a little over a minute each. And then she hung up, and Jerry and Esther, they were in California at the time, went down to La Jolla for lunch. Jerry had not heard the conversation, and Esther barely hears it as it's happening. And so Esther had a dim relationship with what had transpired. And so they parked the car, got out of the car on their way down to the restaurant, and Esther had an overwhelming impulse to enter this building, a shop, in front of her. Now that's not altogether odd. Esther likes shops, and Jerry was not surprised, even though they did have an appointment. And so Jerry followed her into the shop, and she is moving to the back, into the back, into the back, deep into the shop, where she discovered the most magnificent wall of blue glass she had ever seen. Esther did not think anything of it. Blue glass is really not her thing, and she appreciated it to some extent. And then she said, all right, I'm ready to go, and off they went. They had a lovely lunch, and then they went down to the water's edge to enjoy the beautiful ocean. And on their way across this long lawn, very wide, beautiful lawn that spreads out before the beach, Jerry and Esther were surrounded by a flurry of butterflies that was so intense they had to stop talking to keep from eating them. And then across the way comes a little boy. He is about 4 years old. He is coming directly to Esther. She knows he is coming. She knows she does not know him, but he is coming to her as if he does. And when he got to her, he held up a feather and said, I have found this for you. So in a very short time, after focusing upon 3 subjects that Esther had no resistance about,
she manifested.
by the time the little boy handed her the feather, she remembered the conversation. So what we're saying to you is the way you get something that you currently doubt is by reaching for a thought that has less doubt in it. And when there is less doubt in it, you feel a little bit of relief. And when you find a little relief from doubt that you might call hoping, when you find a little optimism that replaces your pessimism, what happens is your vibration shifts enough that the universe yields it to you. And if you've done it on purpose, and only if you've done it on purpose, if you've focused on purpose and felt the relief, then when the evidence comes, you have something tangible that you can see that you are empowered. Then you know, well, if I can do it with blue glass and butterflies and feathers, maybe I can do it with boyfriends and money and work.
Right. And then the resistance that comes around deservability, where we can get stuck, or I find myself getting stuck in transmitting a clear enough vibration.
The only way, we can't zap you with a worthy stick. We would if we could, but we can't. The way you feel deservability is by having a thought, finding relief, and then watching the universe yield to you. And pretty soon, you begin to feel so deserving because you have proved to yourself that it wasn't about some worthiness that you needed to prove. It was about vibrational alignment that you had not consciously achieved, you see. When you start putting together the thought and the feeling and the manifestation, now you are empowered, and the law of attraction and all that is will never let you down. It won't take favorites. It won't be squirrely on you. It's an equal opportunity law. In other words, when you find the feeling of something and you practice it until you're stable in it, it has to yield to you. And the only way we've ever known that anyone could feel worthy, look at people that others have given them things. Often in giving to others, they do not feel more and more worthy. They feel more and more uneasy about it, because what you're saying with your gift is, I give this to you because I see you cannot get it for yourself. Where when you demonstrate through the power of your knowing If you have children and you are feeling ornery, say to them, I'm not tuned in, I'm feeling ornery, and I can feel that I'm out of sync with who I am. Excuse me, I'm going to go off and think some different thoughts and see if I can't get tuned back into who I am. And when you do, and you feel better, show back up. Be an example of someone who makes sure that you're managing this gap between who you really are and who you're being in this moment, depending upon what you're giving your attention to. The only thing that worthiness is about is being a vibrational match to what you've put into your vibrational escrow, you see. When you line up, it must come. And we don't know of anything that makes you... Jerry and Esther can be driving along and they can have been making a comment about something, and then the universe yields it to them, and there is nothing that makes them feel more bathed in the energy of well-being than to see how responsive the universe is to their each and every request.
So it's not about deserving, it's not about struggle, it's about receiving?
Good words. And receiving is about vibrational alignment with desire.
Okay, that's great.
It is.
Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.
Right. My question is, in order for me to be aligned, which is a very difficult concept by the way I've led my life before I met Abraham.
Hard for you to be happy?
Yes. It was very difficult. I thought it was pecaminosus. It was bad. It was not good. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Now, the moments I feel happiness and total joy, is that the moment in which I ask or re-ask again, or I just let go of the question, I just be happy?
When you feel happy, that's the step 3 part. In other words, because you've already asked. You ask while you were hurting, you ask in injustice, you ask during the stuff you didn't want. When you know what you don't want, you are asking. In other words, that's this contrasting, helping you to focus your desire. You're doing it at all levels of your being. So you've already done the asking, and Source has already done the answering. And in the moment that you feel happy, it means the thought you're thinking is causing you to allow alignment with what you've asked for. And if you keep that up, the manifestation must show itself to you. But there's something that we really want to give you. You're going to like this. And that is that we want you to get those manifestations. We truly do. But it is the happiness that we want you to have. In other words, when you train yourself into feeling good, the stuff has to come. But the stuff wasn't the reason. It was just the objective that caused you to focus yourself into alignment. Happiness is you living in this body with the whole of you focused. To be tuned in to who you are and having a conversation. It doesn't get any better than that. To be holding someone as your object of attention when you are fully engulfed in the love of Source, it does not get any better than that. To be observing your planet or this magnificent structure in alignment with who you are, it sends ripples through you. It doesn't get any better than that, you see. And that's the way life is supposed to be for you.